So somebody asked a question about the 35 Buddha practices, 35 prostrations of 35 Buddhas, and was wondering about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas involved in that. First of all, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas is just one way to visualize the 35 Buddhas. When Lama Tsongkhapa did the practice, actually the Buddhas all had their own individual colors, their own individual mudras, and so on. So, how he saw them was, kind of in their individual forms. And then there's another way of visualizing them where you have, different rows and a different arrangement, and then a third way of visualizing them where you do it according to the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So it's just different ways, to do something. I don't know why they did it this way. I think it maybe because you have 35 and 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and it breaks into nice groups of 7 each, and 7 is an auspicious number, and I have no reason why, understanding why. But it is helpful for visualizing them when, 7 of them in the row pretty much look the same, except the first row where you have the king with power over the Nagas. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. In Tantra they usually talk about all the Buddhas getting divided in these different families. Again, I don't know why. I mean, I know you can tell why Chenrezig and Tara are in Amitabha Buddha's family. Chenrezig is a bodhisattva and Amitabha's Pure Land, so I guess they live in the same house until Chenrezig moved out and established his own Pure Land called the Potala, and but I think they're kind of, they're on good terms with each other. And Tara was born from Chenrezig's tear, so her Pure Land, I think is, maybe getting some financial aid from Chenrezig's Pure Land, something like that, But how the other Buddhas are divided, how they get classified into different families, I really don't know. Okay? But it's interesting because, you find the 5 Dhyani Buddhas popping up in all sorts of different circumstances. You very seldom find one teaching here is all about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas in one place. Rather, it pops up in the 35 Buddhas practice, it pops up when you're talking about Tantra and the Buddha families, it pops up when you're talking about the depth absorption and how the elements are losing power and the different wisdoms that come up then. So it comes up in a bunch of different circumstances, but like I say, I haven't seen one kind of book all about everything you wanted to know about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas and more. Maybe one of you can write that. It would be an interesting thing if they ever get the whole Tibetan canon digitized. Then you could do a search for this term and find it in all the occurrences. The Chinese have their whole canon digitized, and I think the Theravadas too, but Tibetans are not so much. I think part of it is, but I think it's a lot of what's digitized is the Tibetan commentaries. I'm not sure that all the sutras are. Anyway, okay, just to give you a little clue about the Buddhas. So, Virocana is allied with the aggregate of form, okay? And his wisdom is the mirror-like wisdom, which is the exalted wisdom in the continuum of an Arya Buddha, which realizes all phenomena of the 3 times, their ultimate nature and conventional existence, without any gap or obstruction. So they say that we have a form of this or a potential for this in us right now, okay? And then this is also affiliated with overcoming ignorance and, the white color and the symbol of the wheel and all of these kinds of things. I have a little chart. I'll leave it for you if you want it. And then Buddha Ratna Sambhava corresponds with the aggregate of feeling. So form aggregate in terms of us is our body, and then it also refers to all the, material things too. The feeling aggregate are feelings of happiness, unhappiness, and neutral feelings. And so, interesting, this is the wisdom of equality. I find, it's interesting to see what wisdom and what aggregate go together. Yeah, I mean the form aggregate, the mirror-like wisdom that can see all these different things. Then the feeling aggregate, the wisdom of equality. I mean, that's what we need with our feelings, isn't it? I'm so happy, I'm so miserable, I don't care, I get some equality here. So this is the exalted wisdom in the continuum of an Arya Buddha, which engages in working for others without partiality. Okay, so not only equality in our feelings, but working equally for others. And this is overcoming arrogance and miserliness. Yeah, those two I find interesting putting them together. You can do a lot of meditation on this, kind of, why, what's arrogance and miserliness, what's the difference, why are those two put together? Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're miserly, you're pretty arrogant, aren't you? It's like, me, I'm the most important one, so I'm not giving anything away. Yeah, or when we're quite arrogant, we're at the top, we don't want to share anything with anybody, do we? So maybe that's some relationship with them. The third one is Amitabha, so that's the aggregate of discrimination. Okay, and it's the wisdom of discrimination, which is the exalted wisdom in the continuum of an Arya Buddha, which views sentient beings' thoughts individually without mixing them. Okay, so it's a wisdom that can see everything without getting everything all confused, can discern different things, differentiate, discriminate different things. And then this represents overcoming attachment, isn't it? Yeah, well, what's the difference between having discriminating wisdom and overcoming attachment? Well, when you have attachment, your discriminating wisdom is out the door, isn't it? When your mind's full of attachment, everything is wonderful. Yeah. Okay, then Amoghasiddhi is the fourth one, and that's the aggregate of volitional factors, or sometimes they say compositional factors. The literal translation is conditioning factors, or conditioned factors. Yeah, and that's the wisdom of all accomplishing, which is the exalted wisdom in the continuum of an Arya Buddha, which is able to culminate or bring to fruit actions for sentient beings' different purposes. So you can accomplish whatever you want for the welfare of sentient beings. And so this is has to do with overcoming jealousy. It's interesting, what's the thing here, all accomplishing wisdom and jealousy. Well, again, when you're jealous, you can't do anything, can you, except sit there and be jealous. Yeah, you can't accomplish anything because your mind is always going around. That's not fair. It shouldn't be like this. I should have that. They shouldn't have that. Yeah. So you free yourself of jealousy, then there's so much space, to accomplish things. And then Amoghasiddhi is the fifth one, and that's the aggregate of consciousness, and the wisdom is the sphere of reality, or Chuni, that's your name, okay, which is the exalted wisdom in the continuum of a person who has eliminated the two obscurations. And so that corresponds with eliminating anger. Did I say Moga City? I'm sorry, Moga City was the previous one. This is Akshobhya. Okay, so Akshobhya. And overcoming anger. Okay. Now, sometimes Akshobhya and Virocana are reversed. So I don't know why. Yeah, but sometimes you'll find, sometimes you'll find Virocana in the center of the mandala and being white and so on, and sometimes you'll find Akshobhya there. So I don't know. I think they all get along, though. Yeah, so, maybe Virocana gets tired of being in the center and having all the responsibilities, so he just wants to go to the east side. He wants to go to the east, and have Akshobhya take over for him for a while. Okay, so like I said, these all correspond with places in the mandala. They correspond with colors, with elements, with different afflictions. Each of the Buddha families has a symbol. So there's lots of different correspondences here. I don't know the meaning of all of them. I keep saying I don't know a lot because the person who asks me about this, whenever I say something, always says, but why is it like that? And usually I don't know, so I'm just saying don't ask me any more questions, okay? This is something that you can look up and, maybe contemplate on your own how these things all fit together. Mm-hmm.